We just got two new pistols in Chapter 6 Season 3, the Kill Switch revolvers and the Hyper Burst pistol, so I figured it was time I finally rank every pistol we've had in Fortnite Battle Royale. From Chapter 1 to Chapter 6, we've had some insane pistols and some garbage ones throughout the year, so I'm definitely going to have some hot takes in this video. So be sure to let me know down in the comments what you think are the best pistols of all time in Fortnite. If you enjoy my videos, be sure to use code TuneSpider in the Fortnite item shop to support me. And now let's get to ranking. Alright, so we're going to hop in Kato Thorne's time machine and we're going to go all the way back to the early days for Chapter 1. And we're going to start with the semi-auto pistols. So this was the first pistol in the game, and this was really just your typical pistol you get in pretty much every shooter. It's a semi-auto pistol. It has 16 magazine size. It did about mid-20s damage. The rare did about 26 damage. There's nothing crazy or unique about it. It's kind of just like spaghetti. It's simple and it gets the job done every time. So I'm going to be putting the semi-auto pistol in the C tier. Next, we're moving on to the revolver, and I always think about that famous ninja clip, and the revolver has always had consistent damage, especially for a medium range pistol. Like for example, if we look at a rare revolver, the damage is going to be 60, the magazine size is 6. Of course, the fire rate is slow since it's a revolver, it's at 0.9, but it did have a headshot multiplier of 2.5. So when it comes to this revolver, I'm going to be putting it in the B tier. So then next up, we have the semi-auto suppressed pistol, another Chapter 1 classic, but this is basically just the semi-auto pistol, but with a suppressor on it. On average, it did pretty much the same damage as the semi-auto pistol, with the damage being in the mid-20s, around 25, 26. So I'm going to be putting this in the C tier as well, but it's going to be below the semi-auto pistol. Next up is going to be the hand cannon, and this thing packed a punch, especially back in the day. Not only could it one-shot an opponent from a medium or long range, it could also one-shot a wall. And speaking of its medium and long range, it was a very versatile pistol. You could have it as a shotgun. Some people were using it as a replacement for the double pump once that got vaulted. You could use it in place instead of a sniper. It's a very versatile pistol and still is to this day. Of course, it does have a super slow fire rate, but what makes it worth it is the damage that you can hit with this hand cannon. And the damage for this one hasn't really changed throughout the years. For a blue rarity, it's going to have a 70 damage. Of course, it has a 2-time multiplier, magazine size of 7. But with all of that said, the hand cannon will be going in the A tier. Now moving on to the 6-shooter, which came during Fortnitemares in 2018. This was a very unique pistol because you could ADS it or you could hip fire, and when you hip fired, it actually shot faster. The damage is pretty solid. It does 36 damage both ADS and hip fire, but it has a small magazine size for that amount of damage with only 6. But I'm gonna be honest, I was never looking to pick up this weapon. I'm not John Wayne. I'm not a cowboy. This just didn't feel useful unless I wanted to just use it against the cube monsters because I saw that's what they did in the Fortnitemares trailer. So this will be going in the C tier. Now we're moving on to the dual pistols, and I might be the only person in the world that just absolutely loved these. Like, I was taking them over any pistol. I was taking them over ARs. I know they weren't better than an AR, but I still wanted to use them. I just love the feeling of them and how they look. And I will say, for the dual pistols, the damage has always been pretty decent with a decent magazine size as well. The damage has always been like 39 to 40 for blue rarity. The magazine size has always been 18. It's got a decent fire rate with around 4. So statistically, these aren't bad to use. They're actually pretty solid. The thing is, you would just rather have an AR over this because of the fire rate and the magazine size. And I will be honest, they weren't great for hip firing either. But with all that said, I am going to be putting the dual pistols in the B tier. Now for this next pistol, I know I talked about the 6-shooter being unique, but this next one was definitely the most unique and creative pistol that we got in Chapter 1. And that's the flint knock pistol, and it fit perfectly for Season 8 when it arrived into the game. I really loved the knockback effect. It was so much fun to use, whether you're messing around with your teammates and trying to knock them back, knocking back opponents off the mountain. You could save yourself from fall damage. In my opinion, it was just such a fun weapon to use, and the damage is pretty solid. So for a blue rarity, it did 95 damage, so a headshot would be 2 multiplier for that, so it'd be around like 190. The thing with this though is the magazine size was 1, and it was a very slow fire rate, not a fast reload time either, so you really needed to make your shot count. And as I mentioned, it was just super fun to use, so I'm gonna be putting this in the A tier. Next up is the scoped revolver, and I was just never a fan of this pistol, to be honest. I never really wanted to pick it up, never really saw the point in it, to be honest, because its benefit was the fact that it had a scope for longer range, but at that point I would just rather use a sniper. So this one actually didn't come with a blue rarity, so for the epic rarity, the damage was 42, magazine size 6, fire rate 1.6, so pretty slow. Not great stats all around. So in my opinion, the scoped revolver is going in the D tier. Next up, we got Deadpool's hand cannons.
Oh, hello.
And this is probably the only compliment they'll get. I mean, these look sick. The design for them is pretty much perfect, and I wanted to love these hand cannons so much. I really did, but they were so bad. Like, you're probably wondering, how bad were they? Well, they were so bad, I'm not even showing you clips of this weapon. I'm just showing you Deadpool dancing. But oh my god, did they mess these up? Like, how do you mess up Deadpool's hand cannons? They absolutely fumbled the double DPs. Just watch the movie and make them exactly like that. The damage was awful for these. The health regen was so slow, like my brain before coffee. And the worst part is, I want these to return. I just want them to return with higher damage and a faster fire rate. These should be broken. They're Deadpool's hand cannons. I would love to see a new version of these someday, so bad that I would probably fondle Wolverine for Epic to return these with a higher damage. I mean, they clearly did not put maximum effort into these hand cannons, so they're going in the D tier. And then next up, we got the makeshift revolver. Not gonna lie, I get a little angry whenever I see the word makeshift inside of Fortnite. It makes me want to Hulk out, but I need to be honest, this isn't bad. It's actually absolute garbage. Easy D tier, joining Deadpool's hand cannons because I need to get this out of my sight. Next pistol, which is the Marksman 6-shooter, and I kind of just talked about the 6-shooter, but this is the exotic version, and it's really not that much better. It's pretty much the same all around. Besides, there's a critical hit bonus damage, but other than that, they kind of considered that hip fire effect to be the exotic of it. It's kind of like the exotic Storm Scout Sniper, where they didn't change anything about it. They just said, well, this has a fun feature, so this actually makes it exotic. So this will be going in the C tier as well, next to the original 6-shooter. Then next up is the Hop Rock Dualies. This is an exotic version of the dual pistols. Similar to the dual pistols, they do pretty solid damage. This one does 44, and then it still has the same magazine size, fire rate, reload time. But the cool exotic effect of this, you get the Hop Rocks effect, so the low gravity effect, and it's so sick. It's so fun to use. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, they look cool. I really like the colors of the Hop Rock Dualies. So I'm gonna put these in the A tier, but they're probably gonna be a lower A. Then next up, we have the Nighthawk, which is a sick name, by the way, but it's for the scoped revolver. And there really wasn't much of an exotic effect when it came to this weapon. The damage is still pretty mid, the magazine size is still 6, and the exotic effect for this is it had a thermal scope. So nothing crazy about it, nothing game changing at all. Like, there's no part of me that wants to pick this up and use it, so this will be going in the D tier next to the scoped revolver. Then next up is going to be the Shadow Tracker. So this is the suppressed pistol, but as an exotic. This one looks pretty cool as well, and I like the name. This one is super useful, especially in like duos, trios, squads, because if you hit an opponent, it will temporarily mark their location for every member of the squad, which I think is really cool. So overall, I think it's a pretty good pistol, but other than that, I'm going to put it in the B tier. Next up is the Primal Pistol, and this wasn't the worst thing. It was nowhere near the makeshift revolver. The damage it did was 38, the magazine size was 8. So I'm going to put the Primal Pistol in the C tier because it's just alright. It's nothing special. It has a faster fire rate than a revolver, but it does a little less damage, but it has a couple more in the clip. So I feel like the C tier is a good spot for it. Moving on to the Combat Pistol, I mean, this thing was nothing special either. It was basically the same as the semi-auto pistol. This was kind of like a rebrand of it, I guess you could say. So I believe it just belongs right next to the semi-auto pistol since it's pretty much the same. So it's going in the C tier. Now we're moving on to the Sidearm Pistol, which is another rebrand of the semi-auto pistol. This one is also just nothing special. I mean, it does a couple more damage. It still has a little bit of a smaller magazine size. So this will be going in the C tier as well. Now moving on to the Tactical Pistol, and this might be the best pistol we've ever had in the game. It's a fast firing, fully automatic pistol with a tight spread. The damage was mid-20s. The magazine size was pretty much the same as all the others. It of course had a faster fire rate because it was an automatic pistol. I mean, there were times where we were using this instead of an SMG or an AR, especially if you got the Mythic version. I really love that augment that let you get the Mythic Tactical Pistol. That was so sick. But in my opinion, thinking about the stats and how great it was to use, the Tactical Pistol is going to be going in the S tier. Moving on to the lock-on pistol, and I do not get this pistol at all. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm stupid, but this thing would lock on. It was a semi-automatic. Apparently it was fast firing, but people are decent in this game. I feel like I never really had time to lock on to people. Maybe I was just doing it wrong, I don't know. And the tracking system for it could only be like a maximum range of like 40-50 meters or something like that. The damage wasn't incredible. The magazine size was small. I mean, it did have a fast fire rate once you locked on, but I feel like that's kind of hard to do in today's game. I feel like this would have been way better in chapter 1 or chapter 2 when people were a little worse at the game. I feel like the trailer catfished me on this weapon. I feel like they made it look way cooler than it actually is. So this lock-on pistol is going in the D tier. It can join Deadpool's hand cannons. Now moving on to the Mammoth pistol, and I mean this thing lives up to its name. Like how I imagine it would feel getting hit by a mammoth, I mean I feel like that's pretty similar to this pistol. I mean this thing probably hits harder than Mike Tyson, but I'll tell you right now, if you let someone shoot this, hit you, reload, and then shoot this again at you, oh, you're toast. The Mammoth pistol is crazy. Also one of the coolest pistols to ever come to this game. I love using it anytime it's in the game. So this one is an easy S tier in my opinion. Now we're moving on to the Ranger pistol, and for these chapter 5 weapons, I'm not going to consider the fact that you could put like scopes on them, that they were a modular weapon, because that just gives it such a big advantage over these other pistols. So I'm going to just go off of their base versions without any mod attachments. And I feel like the Ranger pistol was still really good even without attachments. The damage was 28, the magazine size was 15, it was a fully automatic, so similar to the tactical pistol. In my opinion, it's honestly right up there with the tactical pistol, so this will be going in the S tier. Next, we're looking at the Monarch pistol. I'm going to combine Doom's Mythic version with this when I'm ranking it. This is a great pistol to use. It has that hip firing ADS like the 6-shooter, except it has one more in the magazine size and it does more damage, so it's definitely better than the 6-shooter. Plus you hold it with one hand, which had me feeling like Han Solo, which I think is sick. What was nice was this was automatic as well, so this will be going in the A tier. Now I did talk about the Mammoth already, but the Baron's double down pistol that you'd get from Fletcher Kane, yeah, that's an easy S tier. It's a Mythic version, so you got 2 shots before you had to reload, so you didn't have to wait for the reload for the second shot. So oh yeah, you were definitely toast if someone had this. So this is an easy S tier going with the Mammoth pistol. Moving on to the DL44 blaster pistol, so this is what we just got in this Galactic Battle Star Wars season. Another fully automatic blaster pistol, super similar to the Monarch pistol. Pretty solid damage for a blue rarity at 38, and of course you got to consider the magazine size is infinite because there was no ammo for this, so this will be going in the A tier next to that Monarch pistol. Next we got the Wester 34 blaster pistol, so this came with the Mandalorian update during the Star Wars season. These were pretty cool. They're fast firing, I like the feeling of them. Dual pistols are always pretty good in my opinion. The damage was 26, of course the magazine size is technically infinite. The fire rate was pretty fast at 6.15, so I'm going to be putting this in the B tier. Now we're moving on to our current season, and in my opinion this is where the pistols get really good. I love the pistols this season. They are honestly insane when it comes to like fire rate and damage. So if we're looking at the Hyper Burst pistol, finally we have a burst pistol in the game, and I think it's really cool. The damage is only 18, but the magazine size is 18 and the fire rate is 9, and it also has a fast reload time. And in my opinion this thing just absolutely shreds, especially if you have the enhanced version, so this is going in S tier. Now this season it did come with an exotic version as well. Really what the exotic effect is some bullets create shockwave effects where they hit, so you can maybe shockwave yourself if you need to, or you can shockwave an opponent, but you do have to kind of get lucky with it. It's not super consistent, as it says it's unstable, so this will be going in the S tier as well. And then last but not least, we have the kill switch revolvers. I love using these so much. These are probably the coolest weapon Fortnite has ever added into the game. The fact that you can slow-mo in the air to the left, to the right, forward, backward is so sick. I have so much fun using these. They're such a unique concept. They get me excited every time I use them in multiple ways. I feel like I'm in the Matrix when I use them. I mean, this is the perfect time to bring in Jason Todd into the game though, so I can get some cool screenshots with Red Hood using these. But enough glazing how awesome these are. Let's talk about the stats. Damage 41, magazine size 12, fire rate 3, so these are really good all across the board. And then when you also consider the fact that you can jump midair and slow yourself down is so sick. And you can also use that jump in air ability when you're not using them as a weapon for mobility, which is nice. So after all that glazing, the kill switch revolvers will be going in the S tier. But there you have it, that's my ranking for all of the pistols we've had in Fortnite. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to join my Discord server, that link is going to be in the description below, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.